Welcome to the Dark Lord's Dispatch podcast. From the desk of Satan, Prince of Darkness, CEO of Hell Enterprises, Hell's Throne Room, Friday, September 19th, 2025. Satire Disclaimer. Before Satan starts crying into his sulfur-dusted popcorn about losing Jimmy Kimmel, let's be crystal fucking clear. This is satire, as in not real news. Satan isn't actually having a mental breakdown in Hell's break room because ABC suspended his favorite late-night show. The Prince of Darkness doesn't really have a therapist named Carl Jung, or a nightly ritual of watching comedy while the damned scream in the background. The Dark Lord's Dispatch is a work of political humor, featuring fictional demons commenting on unfortunate but real events. Any resemblance to actual comedians getting suspended for jokes while genocide advocates keep their shows is, well, that shit actually happened. We're just having Satan point out the obscene double standard of silencing comedy while protecting calls for murdering the homeless. We're not suggesting Brian Kilmeade is actually getting a free pass for advocating involuntary lethal injection of homeless people. Oh, wait, he literally is. We're not saying Trump declaring networks aren't allowed to criticize him is fascist. We're just having Satan note that even he respects free will more than the current administration. This is dark humor, folks. Blasphemous, profane entertainment designed to make you laugh while the FCC murders the First Amendment and corporations choose billion-dollar mergers over free speech. If you can't tell the difference between our fictional Satan's love for late-night comedy and actual government censorship happening in real time, please exit immediately and go watch Fox News. Apparently advocating genocide is still allowed there. Still here? Good. Remember, the real demons aren't in our fictional hell. They're in the actual policies that suspend comedians for jokes, declare ideas as terrorism, and delete government studies that contradict their narrative. Now, let's get to the show, where Satan discovers that losing his comfort watch is somehow worse than eternal damnation. You're up, big guy. Try not to cry too much about Kimmel.
Breaking. They suspended Jimmy Kimmel, and now I'm taking this personally. Greetings, mortals. Satan here, and I need you to understand something. They fucking canceled my show. Not metaphorically, not temporarily, indefinitely, and I'm going to explain exactly why this matters more than your mortgage. My show, mortals. The one bright spot in my hellish existence. The 45 minutes of joy I allowed myself each night after spending eternity torturing the damned. Jimmy Kimmel Live, my comfort watch, my nightly dose of someone else documenting America's descent into fascism with actual wit, someone who understood that if you're going to watch democracy die, you might as well get some good jokes out of it. And they suspended him, indefinitely. For what? For making fun of MAGA and noting that Trump's mourning for Charlie Kirk consisted of immediately pivoting to ballroom construction. The fourth stage of mourning. Construction. That's funny. That's pointing out the absurdity of a man who can't even pretend to give a shit about his dead friend for 30 seconds. Meanwhile, and this is the part that makes my sulphurous blood boil, Fox News host Brian Kilmeade literally advocated for executing homeless people. Involuntary lethal injection. Just kill 'em, he said. On air. about human beings, about Americans whose crime is not having a house. Kimmel's consequences, suspended immediately, indefinitely. Kilmeade's consequences, a weak apology, and he's still on fucking television. One made jokes about the Fourth Reich's orange mascot. One called for genocide. Guess which one gets to keep their show? But here's what really happened this week. America's government went full authoritarian, and nobody's even pretending otherwise. Trump said the quiet part loud on Air Force One about the TV networks. They're 97% against me. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. Not allowed. The President of the United States said networks are not allowed to criticize him, said it should affect their FCC licenses, said Brendan Carr would handle it. And Carr did. And Kimmel was gone. Meanwhile, Trump designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. Antifa isn't even an organization. It's literally just short for anti-fascist. It's an idea, a stance. It's like declaring people who don't like fascism a terrorist group. How do you arrest an ideology? How do you investigate the funding of a concept? Oh, and the DOJ. They deleted their own study showing right-wing extremists killed 520-plus people since 1990, while left-wing extremists killed 78. Deleted it because it contradicted their radical left violence narrative. They're not just lying about reality, they're erasing reality. Time to let my demon correspondents explain exactly how fucked this all is. Our tentacled propaganda expert, Nyarlathotep, is up first.
The crawling chaos here, witnessing propaganda techniques that make Orwell spin in his grave like a fucking rotisserie chicken. Holy epistemological gang rape mortals. This week didn't just distort reality, it murdered it, cremated the body, and declared the ashes never existed. The Antifa mindfuck. Trump designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. Let me explain why this breaks the fabric of logic itself. Antifa is not an organization. It has no leadership structure, membership list, headquarters, bank accounts, organizational meetings, chain of command. It's literally just people who oppose fascism. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's like declaring vegetarians or people who hate Nickelback as terrorist organizations. But that's the genius of it. When you can declare ideas as terrorism, you can declare anyone a terrorist. Don't like Trump? You're Antifa. Posted a critical tweet. Antifa attended a protest once in 1987. Believe it or not, Antifa. They've created a designation so broad it encompasses anyone who opposes them. It's Kafka meets McCarthy with an X account. The DOJ memory hole operation. The Department of Justice deleted their own study from government websites. A study that showed right-wing extremists 520 plus killed since 1990. Left-wing extremists 78 killed since 1990. The math is simple. Right-wing violence kills 7 times more people. So what did they do? They deleted the math. The page now says, reviewing websites in accordance with executive orders. That's newspeak for burning inconvenient facts in a digital bonfire. This isn't just lying, It's retroactive reality revision. They're not arguing the study was wrong. They're pretending it never existed. Next week, they'll probably delete all climate data and declare hurricanes a leftist conspiracy. The victim-aggressor paradox. Here's the propaganda pretzel that breaks my tentacled brain. The golden toilet's favorite turd claims to be victim. 97% negative coverage, media bias, censorship. While being aggressors, literally suspending shows, revoking licenses, designating critics as terrorists. He's simultaneously the most powerful and most oppressed. America's malignant tumor in a red tie, and his minions control the government, the FCC, the DOJ, but somehow they're the underdogs fighting radical left media. It's Schrödinger's fascist, both all-powerful and perpetually victimized, depending on which serves the moment. The normalization through boredom. But here's the truly insidious part. They made government censorship boring. No dramatic raids, no book burnings, just FCC makes threat. Corporations comply. Comedian disappears. News cycle moves on. They've turned authoritarianism into paperwork. Fascism into bureaucracy. They've made the death of free speech as mundane as renewing your driver's license. The message is clear. Reality is whatever we say it is, and if you disagree, you're a terrorist. Documenting democracy's death through data deletion, Nyarlathotep, father of 1,000 lies. Our favorite fly demon, Beelzebub, is up next.
Lord of Flies and Decay, here, dissecting the putrid carcass of media integrity with the enthusiasm of maggots at a morgue. Let me explain the beautiful corruption that killed Jimmy Kimmel's show, because it wasn't just government threats, it was capitalism choosing fascism over comedy. The FCC protection racket. Brendan Carr runs the FCC like a mob protection racket, except instead of nice restaurant you got there, shame if something happened to it, it's nice broadcast license you got there, shame if we revoked it. The mechanism is elegantly corrupt. FCC controls broadcast licenses worth billions. Every media company needs FCC approval for mergers. FCC chairman threatens consequences for wrong content. Media companies fold faster than Superman on laundry day. It's not censorship. It's market-based content adjustment. Very legal, very cool, very fascist. The corporate calculus of cowardice. Let me break down the media clusterfuck for those who don't understand how broadcast television works in America. How this shit actually works. ABC is the network that produces Kimmel's show. But ABC doesn't broadcast everywhere directly. Local stations, called affiliates, actually air the content. These affiliates are owned by massive media companies like Nexstar and Sinclair. The affiliates pay ABC for the right to air their content. The FCC controls who gets to own these local stations. So when the FCC threatens consequences, here's what happens. Nexstar Media Group owns 32 local ABC affiliate stations. That's 32 cities where ABC programming airs. These stations can choose not to air Kimmel, even though ABC produces it. Currently begging the FCC to approve their $6.2 billion merger with Tegna. The math. Piss off FCC equals no merger. Drop Kimmel equals maybe get merger. Decision. Sorry, Jimmy. but $6.2 billion is greater than your free speech. Pulled Kimmel from all their stations immediately. Sinclair Broadcasting owns even more ABC affiliates than Nexstar. Also trying to become America's media monopoly. Needs FCC approval. Not only pulled Kimmel, but went full bootlicker. Announced they'll air a Charlie Kirk tribute in Kimmel's time slot. Demanded Kimmel make a personal donation to Kirk's family. Basically said, "We'll grovel harder than Nexstar, please approve our deals." Now, ABC/Disney, the network itself, produces Kimmel's show, could theoretically keep making it. But, if affiliates won't air it, there's no show. And ABC's owned stations also need FCC licenses. Bob Iger and Dana Walden made the call personally. Collapsed in hours because they saw affiliates jumping ship. Didn't even pretend to fight because they know the FCC could revoke their licenses too. The domino effect. FCC threatens broadcasters. Affiliates, Nexstar/Sinclair, immediately drop Kimmel to protect their merger deals. ABC sees their show has nowhere to air. ABC suspends production rather than make a show nobody will broadcast. Everyone pretends this is about standards, not government censorship. It's a perfect authoritarian ecosystem. The government doesn't have to directly censor anything. They just threaten the licenses and let capitalism do the censorship for them. Every company in the chain has too much money at stake to fight back. But here's the truly putrid part. Every capitulation creates precedent. Stephen Colbert criticised CBS's Trump settlement. Cancelled, though slowly, ends May 2026. Kimmel mocked that bloated tick on democracy's ass. Suspended immediately. Next comedian criticises Trump. Already know the outcome. They're manufacturing compliance through economic authoritarianism. Every media company sees what happens to resistors and preemptively surrenders. The Kilmeade paradox. Now, let's examine the fascinating case of Brian Kilmeade, who's still on air despite calling for homeless genocide. September 10th. Involuntary lethal injection, just kill 'em. September 15th. Weak apology after going viral. September 19th. Still broadcasting daily. Why? Because Fox doesn't need FCC approval for shit. They're already the propaganda arm. They're not being threatened. They're the threat's megaphone. The double standard isn't a bug. It's the feature, advocating murder of the poor. Protected speech. Mocking the FCC's favourite fellatio recipient. Career ending. Calling for genocide. Morning show material. Jokes about Trump. Terrorism adjacent. The infection spread pattern. These media companies didn't just fold. They prostrated themselves like desperate addicts begging for one more hit of merger approval. They'd sell their own mothers for FCC blessing. This corruption doesn't stay contained. It metastasizes. Phase 1. Government threatens media licenses. Phase 2. Media companies self-censor to protect profits. Phase 3. Employees self-censor to keep jobs. Phase 4. Public self-censors to avoid consequences. Phase 5. Everyone's too broke or scared to resist. We're currently between Phase 2 and 3. By Phase 5, you won't need government censors. Everyone will censor themselves. The infection will be complete. The beautiful irony? These companies think they're being smart, protecting shareholder value, making rational business decisions. They don't realise they're building their own gallows, Once you normalise government content control, you don't get to choose when it stops. Ask any German business that collaborated in the 1930s how that worked out. But sure, protect that merger. I'm sure the fascists will totally respect your property rights once they've consolidated power. That always works out well. Watching capitalism choose fascism over freedom. Again, Beelzebub, Lord of Flies and Corruption. Back to you, my lord.
My closing thoughts. When losing your show means losing your soul. You know what really breaks my ancient sulphurous heart? It's not just that they took my show. It's what taking my show represents. Kimmel wasn't radical. He wasn't calling for revolution. He just pointed out absurdities, made jokes about Trump pivoting from mourning to construction. That's observational comedy, not sedition. But in fascist America, noticing reality is revolutionary. Making jokes is resistance. Laughing at power is terrorism. They've created a hierarchy of acceptable speech. Protected calls for murdering the homeless. Suspended jokes about dead racists. Terrorism. Being anti-fascist. The saddest part, Kimmel and I were kindred spirits, both really good at our jobs. He documented evil with humor. I orchestrated it with style. We were both professionals watching amateurs destroy everything with incompetent malice. Every night, I had 45 minutes where someone else acknowledged how insane this all is. Someone else saying, "Are you seeing this? Are you fucking seeing this now?" Silence. You think this stops with Kimmel? You think they're satisfied with one scalp? They're building a machine that turns comedy into treason and dissent into terrorism, and you're watching it happen between Netflix binges. But here's what these fascist fucks don't understand. Taking away the comedy doesn't make the fascism less obvious. It just makes it less bearable. And when things become unbearable, people don't laugh anymore. They do other things. You just removed your pressure valve, America. Good luck with what comes next. See you next week, mortals, if there's still a First Amendment left to violate. Eternally yours in darkness, and missing my comfort watch, Satan. P.S. To Jimmy Kimmel, you were the best part of my evenings. Come to hell. We have job openings, and no FCC. P.P.S. Brian Kilmeade is still on television, advocating for murdering the homeless. But sure, Kimmel's jokes were the real problem. Fuck this timeline with a rusty chainsaw.
Satan would like to thank you for listening to the Dark Lord's Dispatch. This podcast is public, so feel free to share it with other worthless souls. Now, go away.